A Complete Introduction to the Social Interaction Theory by Lev S. Vygotsky. Who is Lev Vygotsky? Well, he was a Soviet psychologist. He studied psychological development in children. He had a law degree from Moscow State University. He pioneered the concept Zone of Proximal Development, ZPD, More Knowledgeable Other, MKO, and social interaction theory. He presumed that cognitive abilities are socially guided. Teachers control factors in educational settings, and he also passed away at 38 with a lot of unfinished work. Unfinished work. Many different factors of Vygotsky's life trickle down into his work. Researchers have defined at least 3 major periods of Vygotsky's work. The early period took place in the start of the 1920s. The middle period began in the mid-1920s and continued until late 1927 or early 1928, at which time Vygotsky significantly reevaluated his earlier ideas. The final and arguably the most productive period began in 1929 and continued mid-1934. By this point, however, Vygotsky's health was rapidly deteriorating, and he was well aware that he might not live long enough to finish his work. He changed his developmental construct due to many life-altering circumstances or environmental factors, hence his work on the theoretical development of social to cognition. The Soviet Union dictated many different aspects in terms of his area of study. There is not much data or records from Vygotsky himself, as he kept most of his work in his head. What little notes he would write were ones that needed to be decoded from his shorthand. One of Vygotsky's theoretical foundations or areas of study was that of language, which brings me to my next point when speaking of the future development of his theory. His work had to be converted from Russian to English. However, even with all of these added variables, Vygotsky's foundational work still holds strong validity and used worldwide in child development from a psychological to educational perspective. So what is the social interaction theory? Vygotsky's theory was formulated in hopes of understanding language development. By this study, the social interaction, also known as sociocultural theory of cognitive development, was created. Vygotsky saw understanding in terms of how people learn in a social environment, creating a foundation in theories of social learning. Understanding the theoretical orientation from a systemic approach. Vygotsky has always followed 2 core principles: systemic approach to the development of mind and the role of language in this process. Vygotsky felt it was important to understand people from a cultural and social environmental perspective. Most contribute this due to the time when his theoretical construct of sociocultural studies were being formulated. As mentioned above, the Soviet educational system was tasked with educating large groups of underprivileged children, war orphans, poor or working class children, and the homeless. All these children had to become new members of the society. They had to be educated, socialized, and provided with professional training that could make them into productive members of the society. The social interaction theory is best understood through a systemic approach, as you are integrating both social and cognitive theoretical constructs. So what is social development? Understanding social development is crucial to the application of Vygotsky's social interaction theory. Social development can be broken down into different aspects, such as socioeconomic and cultural variables. Social development occurs through the interaction of everyday life. Human development occurs as the child is exposed to different cultural values, beliefs, and problem-solving strategies through peer dialogue or through a more knowledgeable other, which is also known and will be referred to as an MKO. This is why it is crucial for educators to establish a classroom environment that promotes social and emotional development right from the start. Their students' long-term success depends on it. Rules and expectations should be clear and reinforced often, and should prioritize behaviors such as kindness, honesty, and good citizenship. Social to cognition. We hear social and we hear cognition separately, but what does it mean when you apply social to a cognitive development? Vygotsky's theory stressed the fundamental role of social interaction in the development of cognition. Through social interactions comes cognitive development. Children's cognition develops as they work with their peers on interactive problem-solving tasks in real-life settings. Vygotsky outlines three main concepts related to cognitive development. Cultural is significant in learning. Language is the root of culture, and individuals learn and develop within their role in the community. Vygotsky hypothesized that children are born with certain cognitive functions. He labeled these as elementary mental functions, which can be broken down into four different domains: attention, sensation, perception, and memory. These are crucial to their survival in early childhood when language is still not fully developed. With these foundations, bridges are able to be formed through a process called synapses. Synapses occurs in this theory through social interaction, meaning a child has these four foundational constructs. As social interaction occurs, cognition occurs, leading to a more developed functioning. Progression of the social interaction theory in early childhood. Understanding the progression is crucial to the application process. There are three domains, the first being biological. This is what a child is born with. The second is an influencer. This is what occurs in the classroom through peer and social interaction. Last is our development, which is cognition. This is our desired outcome. In this last domain, the child will have cognitively developed in many different aspects, such as problem solving, peer relations, and many other developmental areas. So how does this theory apply to the classroom? According to Vygotsky, these three pillars in this theory are all integral part of the educational setting. Students learn best through social interactions, when a more knowledgeable other assists in the learning process and the student's ZPD, also known as a zone of proximal development. So what is a more knowledgeable other? A more knowledgeable other is a person with a higher ability than the learner. This person doesn't necessarily need to be an adult, just someone more skilled. In an educational setting, an MKO could be a teacher or a school staff member, older sibling, or a more skilled peer. Understanding the zone of proximal development, or ZPD. As one can see to the right, there is three different zones: a panic zone, a learning zone, and a comfort zone. Learning is social and collaborative. Learning happens because we interact socially and with our environment, not because of development. Tasks that are too simple or within our current reach do not promote learning. This would be in the blue zone, also known as the comfort zone. Tasks that are too complex only frustrate the child and do not promote learning. This would be the red zone, also known as the panic zone. ZPD is where the child thrives. This is the range of tasks a child can perform with the assistance from others, but not yet independently. This is the green zone, which is also referred to as the learning zone. What a child can do today with assistance, she will be able to do by herself tomorrow. Lev S. Vygotsky. Vygotsky's early pioneering provided such an amazing foundation to future understanding and research into child development. With Vygotsky's theoretical foundation, an educator can be guided in scaffolding instructions to optimally meet each student's individual need. Incorporation of these core principles has profound implications for about every aspect of psychology in the modern-day classroom. We have discussed how these principles can be applied in various branches of modern discipline, such as education and language studies.